Okay, I think we're live. Hi everyone, and welcome to Wednesday's Professional Beauty webinar. Just before I introduce my guest, you can see here, Teresa Tarmey, I just want to quickly remind you, if you've not joined one of our webinars before, or remind you if you have, we will be having a kind of interview style session, but then there will be time for a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, then please do type them into the chat box as we go along, if you're in the Click Meeting platform. If you're watching on Facebook Live, then just type them in the comments and we will get as many answered as possible at the end. If you are in the Click Meeting platform and you have any problems at all with sound, then please try refreshing your page. And if that doesn't work, then you can always pop over to the Facebook page and watch us live there. Okay, so I'm Eve Oxtree, should have said. I'm editor of Professional Beauty, if you don't know me. And today I am really happy to have with me the fabulous Teresa Tarmey. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
So I'm sure you all know Teresa. She's a total skin expert, a celebrity facialist with an amazing client list. She also owns and runs her own clinics and has a product range too, so a super busy woman. And today she'll be sharing her wisdom with us on all things skin rejuvenation. So, Teresa, yeah, as I say, if we kick off, everyone knows you, I think, best as a celebrity facialist, but can we just start by talking a little bit about your background and what you do day to day? Because obviously you run your own clinics and have your own product line. So, yeah, can you tell us just a little bit about all that?
Yeah, of course. So I spend, I would say, 80% of the time in the clinic. Generally, I'm between London and New York, which is not possible right now because obviously I can't get there. So I'm in London at the moment. And I would say I'm very hands-on still. So I still do Monday to Friday sometimes in clinic and kind of in between the clients and you know, AM, PM kind of thing. I run the rest of the business, so the product line and product development. And then recently I've started going into hotels, which is really exciting. Things have obviously gone on pause because of lockdown. But yeah, things are quite big actually, but I do love it. I have two places in London, which is kind of my babies, and you know, I'm very happy, and I've always been very very career driven, I guess is the right word. So I absolutely love my job, and I think most of us who do this job tend to have the same feelings really. I think we have a very nice kind of happy privileged, maybe. I'm looking for the right word, but I love my job.
I think that's it. I think really people that are passionate about skin do love it, don't they? I think really
passionate is the word I'm looking for, Eve.
Excellent. But yeah, kind of helping people and particularly helping people with skin issues, I think is such a rewarding line of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So today we're talking about all things skin rejuvenation. And so I guess can we start with sort of covering a bit, what is your personal approach to skin rejuvenation? So, for example, if a new client comes to you wanting firmer or more radiant skin, what are some of the key questions you'll ask them in consultation to sort of start to help them out?
Yeah, I think a lot of clients who come to us kind of trust what we think. So we tend to get them to book in for an hour's facial. We don't only have two types of facials. We do lots of different ones, but we only ever do 1 hour. So the clients tend to book in for the hour and leave it up to us as the experts to decide what they want to do. But I would say our clientele is, we don't get too many 20s unless people are coming for acne or kind of skin problems in terms of problematic skin. But generally we get the 30s, 40s, 50s plus, where people do, as you say, you know, come for the skin rejuvenations. That's really our main clientele, if you like. So it depends on what people's concerns are, but we have a lot of clients that come in for pigmentation problems, broken capillary problems, and even scarring, but just general kind of skin rejuvenation for the texture of the skin and you know, the usual anti-aging problems, fine lines, but lots of scarring. We tend to get lots of, I think that because that's my kind of story. I had acne, I had scarring, and people kind of come and trust us for that kind of thing. But the skin rejuvenation is definitely what I would say, more known for.
Okay. So how do you then put together a personalised programme for a client? Because obviously, as you say, there's lots of different issues that people come to you for, lots of different age groups. Where do you begin with getting it right for the individual client?
Well, we obviously assess the client's skin and see what the main concerns are. And I always kind of almost work on the worst of the skin first and then work backwards. So say if someone's got lots of capillaries and some pigmentation, I would start to really focus on breaking the pigmentation up between product and lasers. I don't heavily treat with lasers. That's one thing that I'm really firm on, whether it's me or my therapist. We treat very, very, very slowly and very carefully. And that's not because we're not confident. We've all been doing it for many years. You know, one of the girls, I've been doing it for 23 years, but one of my girls has been doing it for 26 years, for example. But we're just not fans of treating aggressively. We like to treat very slowly to, you know, lift the pigment as opposed to aggressively taking it off the skin and then making it sensitized. So we really focus on doing things over time. So we like to do a lot of courses of 6 treatments where we get to know the client's skin. You know, we're not rushing, but everyone generally leaves with some kind of result. So if they're open to lasers, we tend to get a laser on them in the first session after a little test patch at the beginning. So yeah, we really focus on results, but slowly.
Okay.
So lasers, we love a laser in Teresa Tarmey.
Excellent. Well, as you say, there's so many systems, I think, out there, aren't there, and technologies that help the skin in various ways. You know, laser, microneedling, radiofrequency, microcurrent, you know, all sorts of things. How do you think that they stack up? Which do you find the most effective? Which do you...
So my favourite one is one by Venus Concept, and that's purely because it has lots of different applications on one system. So you have the laser on there for the pigmentation and the broken capillaries. You also have the radiofrequency, which I'm a huge fan of, and doing all of my kind of pre-party or red carpet facial. And then you have the fractional radiofrequency, which again I'm a huge fan of for resurfacing and skin tightening, scarring. So that's really my favourite system, simply because it has everything on one platform. So you're not having to buy a laser for the laser side of things and then the radio frequency as a separate set. So I've got an itchy nose. I have hay fever, so if anyone sees me messing with my face. So yeah, it has lots of different applications. So that is definitely my favourite one.
Okay. And what about machine treatments in comparison to the more kind of manual treatments like microneedling? Do you use both? Do you focus more on machines? How do you vary it?
We really mix, because we're not just about lasers, and not everyone wants to have a laser, and especially, you know, someone with darker skin, we would never treat past the skin type 3 to 4 with a laser. We just leave that to topical creams, or we send them to a dermatologist or a doctor for more of a, you know, a YAG laser, something for darker skin types. We just don't touch those skin types with lasers, because I personally don't think you should be too much. I think, you know, you're kind of going into the danger zone of hyperpigmentation, hypopigmentation. So we're huge fans, as I said, of the fractional, simply because it's not a laser, so we can treat, you know, really dark skin types very confidently. And the microneedling, obviously, for similar effects, so skin rejuvenation, scarring, which is why I developed my own microneedling kit for at home, which is, you know, great for people to top up with and to be using in between treatments. Okay. Yeah, the Venus fever for the fractional is just, it's my favourite treatment. I love it so much.
Excellent. And what kind of results are you getting with that? What sort of particular issues are you most commonly solving with that?
I would say more, I'd say 50-50 actually. We do lots of scarring treatments, so, you know, the typical area of scarring from acne, but we do lots of skin rejuvenation, so your 40s, 50s, 60s plus are really getting good results for the kind of overall skin rejuvenation without too much downtime. Anyone that's used it will know, but anyone who hasn't, fractional radiofrequency is a great treatment to not have what would be caused by a Fraxel or a Thermage or I'm trying to think of them more. I'm not into those strong treatments. So, you know, you would be left with some sunburn kind of looking skin the day after, you know, not very much there to be honest, depending on how high you go. Sorry, I'm stuttering at the moment.
No, that makes total sense. Thank you. That's fantastic. So I suppose if you have new clients coming to you, what's your kind of typical time that they would sort of start to see results, or that they would get to the skin of their dreams that they're kind of aiming for?
Yeah.
Or does that vary a lot depending on what they come?
It really varies, but we always give the clients results after the first session, because every single facial we give them a lactic acid, which is always great for brightening the skin. You know, obviously slight exfoliation, which would then extract. So everyone leaves with really clean and bright looking skin, because we finish at the end of that with some LED. So everyone starts the same with the lactic acid, with the extractions, and the end with LED. So that's just standard. What goes on in between obviously depends on what the client's concerns are, but they always leave with some results. But we like to say 6 sessions, we can really make a difference to someone's skin. And whether that be they come every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, but we try and get them quite close together for the first few sessions, really get the skin looking the best it can, and then continue maybe once a month with the extra 4 sessions. So we really try and get them to sign up for 6, not from a sales point of view, but just because we can make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it needs that commitment, I think, which not all clients, not all clients are always that willing to give up front, but I think it sounds like that's the only way to really make a difference. So we've touched a little bit on skincare, but what are your formulas, I suppose, for combining active ingredients with technology to get the best results? Are there any kind of really key active ingredients that you always rely on, or again, does that vary a lot?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of lactic. I really like lactic, which is why I brought that into my at-home kit, and we sell that singularly too. Huge fan of, I mean, lots of different ingredients, but I love the peptides. We formulated the peptides for the microneedling. Obviously the usual things like vitamin C. I'm not a massive fan of vitamin C when it's a standalone product. I like it incorporated into a product.
Okay, out of interest, what's...
I find it can congest the skin, not for everyone, because vitamin C is very important, but I like it when it's in, you know, I'm a big fan of finding the ingredients together, as opposed to, you know, a hyaluronic acid one and then a vitamin C and then it's just too much. I prefer it to be in one product. What other ingredients? I mean, vitamin A, obviously. So I'm a huge fan of vitamin A and retinol. I think every client past 30 should have that in their bathroom. What other ingredients? Niacinamide, I'm a huge fan of. And obviously hyaluronic acid, depending on what molecule, because obviously it's hard to get a really good hyaluronic acid.
Okay, so excellent. So would you tend to put together a program that would incorporate most of those ingredients, or do you tend to ask clients to really kind of focus on 1 or 2 key actives to get the results they want?
No, I try to get them to really bring those products into their skincare. I wouldn't be telling someone to be doing an acid and then a retinol, and I'd like them to alternate and not rush the retinol as well. So anyone who has used, obviously I'm speaking to clinic people, so they know retinols, but I try to get them to take the time in a low percentage. These 1%, starting at 1% is just too much for people to kind of get the skin to adjust.
What kind of percentage do you usually start people on, and kind of how do you build?
My own's 0.3, so it's 0.3, which is a really gentle one. Oil-free, I'm a huge fan of oil-free products. And I think that's just a really good kind of start if someone's not used it. If people are used to retinol, then I would advise them to use the 0.5. I'm a big fan of Retroderm by Aesthetic Care. That's a really good one. And then obviously get them to step up to a 1% if, you know, they're at a certain age or they have big skin problems. But I like to say around the kind of 0.5%.
And I suppose, how important is retail in the whole mix of the treatment program? I mean, obviously, as we've said, ingredients are really important to keep up results at home. I suppose, what are the key products, if people are, as they are sometimes, reluctant to invest in retail, what are the key products, whether that's from your own range or other ranges, or the key ingredients, I suppose, that you'd say, right, you need this in your home care regime?
So again, I would go to the actives, which we've just covered. So depending on the age, I would get them to be using a retinol. Just the ones that we've just mentioned.
Okay.
Sorry, did I miss something else there?
No, I don't think so. That makes sense, I think, yeah. So it's just making sure that they've got those actives in their treatment regime, but also in their regime to balance it out and make sure.
I mean, I totally missed the most important product, which is an SPF. Obviously, I mean, every single client, if I can, leaves with an SPF. And my favourite one would be the Helio Care range, simply because it has such a wide range. And I personally use it myself, so I trust it and just love it.
Excellent. And I think obviously every day, but particularly at the moment with weather like this, well, where we are in baking, pretty much.
It is. It's beautiful weather, beautiful.
I also wanted to ask a little bit about referrals. You mentioned earlier a bit about other doctors that you work with and speak to, and I know you have various experts that you recommend on your website, such as Dr. Sam Bunting and Dr. Sabrina Shah. Do you work closely with dermatologists and surgeons on programs for some clients, or how do you work with other?
No, I feel that when you've been in this industry for a long time, and I'm actively having treatments and looking for the best kind of people, the surgeons, dermatologists out there, and I will never recommend someone that I haven't personally worked with for me as a client. All those people on my website I have. So Rosemary Ferguson, who I adore, I've worked with her for many years, and I would refer people to her for nutrition, and obviously that can then be very linked to skin. I would then recommend Dr. Wasim Taktuk, who is a practitioner in my clinic on a Friday for injectables, and then Sabrina Shah is by far the best eye surgeon. I've seen clients. I haven't had eye surgery. I would also recommend Sam Bunting for anybody who has skin problems that I can't fix. So I send lots of my rosacea clients, any kind of bad acne clients, I would send to Dr. Sam or to her colleague Emma Wedgworth. Who else is on there? Rosemary, Wasim, Sabrina. I also work very closely with someone called Olivia Falcon, which I'm sure everyone's heard of. She is the ex-Tatler Beauty beauty director who wrote the surgery guide for many years. So Olivia has now a company called the Editor's List. So she is someone that clients can, if I have clients from abroad or even in London that's looking for surgery or looking for certain things that I'm not familiar with, then I pass them on to Olivia, and she has this incredible service where she basically talks to the client's needs and really guides them to the best person for them. So that she's fantastic, and actually she's not on my website and needs to be.
Excellent. So, I mean, would you recommend, I suppose, that other skin and facial experts do kind of have other experts that they work with, I suppose, to sort of make connections and have people to cross-refer? Is that quite important?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to share who I feel is the best of the best in that area to my clients. I don't want to be recommending someone who's not good, because obviously that's not a good look for me either. So I try and keep actively, there's so many people out there who's incredible, but those are my kind of people that I refer my clients to.
Excellent. And I think, as you say, not everything can be solved non-surgically. So some clients are going to want that, and some clients are going to want more, in-depth advice on dermatology. So I suppose having someone that they trust, like you, to point them in the right direction is really important. And I think a lot of hopefully a lot of therapists do the same. And I think it's a really important thing.
Yeah, it is important. And the clients, they do trust you, so you have to find good people to be able to send them to.
Excellent. Well, we've had absolutely loads of questions starting to pop through in the chat box here, and also over on the Facebook Live feed. So I think we'll start the Q&A, if that's all right with you, to get everyone's, as many people's questions answered as we can. Just quickly, actually, a couple of people have asked, could you just repeat what SPF you recommend, because they didn't quite catch it?
Yes. So it's the Helio Care, which is sold by a company called Aesthetic Care, which is actually the same company that I recommend for the Retroderm. So Helio Care has around 7, 8, even more different types. So they're all SPF 50, but what I like about them is they have different textures and different kind of finishes, if you like. I personally use the tinted one, so I don't need to wear foundation anymore. But really, you know, it's really affordable. So there's not many clients walk out without having an SPF, a Helio Care in hand. And it's like 29 to 30, ranges from 29 to 31 pounds. So great product to have in the clinic.
Fab, thank you. So we've got another question from Kezia over here, which is, what are your recommendations for chemical peels? Do you incorporate them into courses alongside radiofrequency?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use a brand called Meso Aesthetics, huge fan of. I'm sure everyone's heard of them. And they are a Spanish company, so the distributors are in the UK. And we're not really into really strong peels, to be honest. We never really do them. We tend to stick with the microneedling and the fractional for the resurfacing kind of texture of the skin. And we get people to do the retinols and my lactic acid at home as well, so for a steadier approach. But we definitely do the odd strong peel, but we've never really been, I personally have never done too many of them.
Thank you. And just another question also about something that you touched on before, which was using lactic acid. What products do you use for that, and at what percentage?
So we use the Meso Aesthetics, so any peels that we use is always from them. And in every single facial, we use the 30% lactic acid, which is generally really good for everyone. You can never say everyone, but we don't tend to, touch wood, have a problem with the 30% lactic. So it really just leaves the skin looking bright. So as I said, most people do, well, everyone leaves with the results simply because of the lactic and the LED brightening.
Excellent. Another question is, can you share your home care regimen for pigmented skin, especially on cheeks? Any advice on that?
I mean, it depends. It depends whether it's sun damage or melasma, because you tend to get a lot of melasma on the cheeks. Again, going back to Meso Aesthetics, they do this fantastic peel, which you can do in clinic or at home, which is called Cosmelan. So that's definitely what I would be using for anyone who's got a lot of pigmentation. So, you know, it depends. I wouldn't touch melasma with a laser, but I would use this system, which is fantastic.
Okay, excellent. We've got one quite specific question, so we'll see. But one person is writing, I suffer with a constant red nose around the front tip area. I've tried many different products. Can you recommend anything to help? I know obviously without seeing it, it's quite difficult, but I suppose would you have any thoughts?
I mean, it's hard to say. If you have broken capillaries in there, then obviously you could have those lasered, which would then reduce the redness and reduce the blood flow to that area. But it could potentially be rosacea, because I think that's quite a common area, you know, around here is common for rosacea. And I would always send my clients to Sam Bunting for the rosacea, because she would be very good with fantastic with topicals for rosacea. LED can be very good as well, but as you say, without seeing it, I don't know what's the cause.
Sure. Thank you. Another question is, are there any specific treatments for strawberry legs, small black spots on the legs? Not sure.
I would send, we don't treat the body with laser. We tend to just work upwards from the heart with IPLs, and we do have a YAG, we do have, you know, different things. We have a great Alma system. Also, the veins, I really feel should be on the legs. They should be with doctors. It's not our speciality, but you can certainly generally get rid of them.
Thank you.
And sclerotherapy is a good treatment too, not just laser, the good old-fashioned sclerotherapy.
Yeah, to really kind of get best long-lasting results, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
And another question we've had over here is, what's the best to unclog pores? So yeah, any advice for congestion and sorting that?
Acids are good, retinol's really good to keep the skin squeaky clean, as I say. I think you can always tell when someone's using a good retinol. And, you know, just the usual general good cleansing routine. But it depended on where someone lives, but us in London are, you know, unlucky with the kind of pollution and stuff, that it's very hard to keep your skin completely clean all the time. I think most people get congestion and blackheads. Actually, one good tip is, if it's a lot of congestion, I would look at which vitamin C you are using, because that can help add to the congestion. And oil. I'm not a huge fan of oils and cleansing balms and, you know, things that can clog the skin. So if you have a lot of congestion and you're using an oil.
Sorry about that. My screen froze then. I think I'm back, but I don't know what happened. I was like, I don't know if you can still hear me. But yeah, so I might have cut out there, but I am back. So apologies.
Super. You went a little bit quiet there, Eve.
Can you hear me now?
So yeah, try taking out the oil.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very much, and apologies, I disappeared for a sec.
Eve, I can't quite hear you. You're quite quiet.
Oh, can you not? Can you hear me any better if I
can hear you, but it's very, very quiet.
Okay, I'm not sure what's happened then, because I did cut out, my screen froze, and I can hear you fine, but there may be a bit of an issue my end, so apologies.
No problem. I've turned my speaker up, so if I shout, please tell me.
Okay, well, I can hear you fine, so I'll carry on, but let me know if you can't hear me.
Great.
Next question we've got here do you have any advice to anyone thinking of starting a high-end skincare line? Now, I know obviously you've got your own product range, and any advice, I suppose, on anyone who's thinking of starting their own?
Don't do it. It's hard. It's hard. I have to say, it's not as easy as it may seem. Advice. Well, first of all, you would need a very good formulator and someone that has the time. I'm with an independent formulator who's very small, and I love her. She's fantastic. I think that's it's for sure the most important. You have to have a good formulator that can do you a good product creatively, with good ingredients, that can source good ingredients and quality ingredients. You can get different quality ingredients. And then I would say, if you have a good product, then it's a good start. Obviously, the branding and the design. So to get a good designer, I've always kind of done my own design in a way. What else would I advise? To have the finance, actually, as not too much of a stress, and that's always been a bit of a stress for me. I'm still self-funded, and it's not easy. So it seems, I'm selling kits for £350, but it's not like they're selling out every week. And actually, I really want to focus my kits on selling them to clinics, because there's no one better that can sell a microneedling kit for at-home use than an esthetician or a beautician or a dermatologist. So it's a real focus of mine for this year, or was a focus for mine until we went into lockdown. And I will continue to try and work on that. So I'd actually rather my kit be sat in a skin clinic versus a department store. So that's a real. I know we're not talking about that. So yeah, advice would be to have the financial support, because it can be hard. You need the marketing, you need the sales, you need the great social media. Again, I do all my own, so I'm longing for the day where I can have a team that can help me support that.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, we were saying at the start that you're a busy woman, but wow, you do all your social media as well. That's a lot to do on your own. Next question we have over here in Click Meeting is, do you need to be medically trained to do fractional? So I know we were talking about fractional laser earlier, and I know regulation in general is not that cut and dry, but what are your thoughts on that? Do you suggest?
You don't have to be a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm just, beauty therapy MVQ level 4. And that's as far as you have to go. 4. I don't believe you could do it with a 3, but I could be wrong. But I think most people now using lasers have to have a 4.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic treatment. It's just fantastic. It's very easy to use, and most people, everyone gets a good result. But even the darker skin types, you're not really kind of going in that danger zone like you do with the lasers for the darker skin types.
Excellent, thank you. The next question we have is, what treatments and products would you recommend for skin firmness around the jowl area and marionette lines? I think this is certainly something that I'm interested in.
Radiofrequency would be a really good treatment for that. But it's very hard to lift skin, if you like. You can really work on the muscle and you can tighten the skin, but I think people's expectations sometimes can be quite high. But I personally use, again, the Venus, and I use the radiofrequency on my neck and on my lower face, actually around the eyes too. And then, you've got the clever people, like the injectable doctors. Dr. Wasim is very clever at doing things where you can inject the jawline, which I think is a very, very kind of clever way to help lift here without seeing the volume of the filler, so it doesn't look like you've had anything done. So I'm a huge fan of that.
Excellent, thank you very much. Another question we have here is, have you used or had hydrofacial before? Do you have any thoughts on that, or similar sort
Which
of
one, sorry?
hydrofacial, or any of the more kind of hydrating dermabrasion treatments?
I have had one with a demo quite a few years ago, and I genuinely can't remember. That's the truth. But I mean, it has a fantastic reputation, so I'm guessing it's a good machine.
Excellent, well, thank you. Another quite specific question, how would you go about treating rhinophyma on someone who's just starting to appear like it's coming?
I would probably send them to a doctor dermatologist, because we are skin therapists, estheticians, beauty therapists. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense, thank you. Question here from Chloe, are you considering getting any other new treatments at your salon? If so, what would it be? So I suppose, yeah, what are you keeping an eye on at the moment? What are the big trends you think are coming up?
What am I thinking? I want to do more body treatments. There's a system called Venus Legacy, which is the same company as I have my laser from. Again, tried it myself, great results, maybe with some lymphatic. So I'm really looking at maybe bringing more body treatments so that we can do the combination of the radiofrequency and then the lymphatic bodysuit too. So I think that's something that we will potentially bring in this year. But for the face, I'm just really happy with what we use, to be honest. I'm not one to look for trends or go and get the latest laser. I'm really not. I feel if you have equipment that works really well and you can't have anything that can do a better job, then you don't need to be spending machine after machine after machine.
And I think that's the danger. I think a lot of people often do feel like they need to be getting the latest thing so that they can offer new things all the time. But I think, if you've got tried and tested methods and your clients love them, then fantastic. We've got loads of questions over on the Facebook Live platform too, so I'm just going to take a couple from there. There's one from Sam who says, do you offer incentives if your client's booking for a course of 6 treatments?
So, incentives, yes. We do a course of 6 and they pay for 5. So our advanced facial, where we have the laser, is 280 with the girls. It's 380 with myself. So they would save, £280 on the course of 6. We do try and get them to do that, and that from a sales point of view, simply because that's what we feel we can really get a good result with 6 sessions.
Absolutely, excellent. And another one over there is, how often do you recommend microneedling on mature or dry or delicate skin? Once a month or less?
Depends what needle length. So the one that I've designed for at home, I'm a big fan of little and often. So again, with the retinol, I like to do a small amount. With the microneedling, I'm a big fan of small needle lengths, actually just really treating the epidermis. So mine's a 0.25 and I advise to do that once a week. So my kit's a 12-week program. Fantastic results. Of course, I'm going to say that, but you can't not get good results if you're microneedling once a week. If you're doing in clinic, it just depends. It really depends. I'm not a big fan of the, good old days of doing a 2.5, 3 mil, even 2 mil. I'd go to the fractional radiofrequency for that as opposed to the microneedling.
Excellent, thank you. Another question on Facebook is, what are your thoughts on Farrell Ik versus vitamin C?
I think they're both really good ingredients. Again, I'd probably like them to be incorporated into, there's a certain product that has both of them. I'm not a massive fan just because I see so much congestion with that. The actual formulation is very dark, and as soon as I get under that mag lamp, I can see straight away that they're using those 2 products together. And I'm not saying that everyone has that reaction, but it happens quite a lot where it's a great product, don't get me wrong. It's just that it can kind of leave the pigment in the pores. So it can be a bit congestion.
Okay.
It's 2 great ingredients.
Fab. Another question we've had over here is radiofrequency and injections together. How often and would you leave between each treatment? So would you use the 2 together, and if so, how frequently?
Yeah, I understand that question. So the radiofrequency, obviously it's heat, but you're not going as far as, like, say, a thermage. It depends if they're talking about filler, if they're talking about Botox. It wouldn't affect the Botox. Some people like to think that radiofrequency can maybe dilute or melt the filler, and that would be very difficult to do. So I personally think that you can do them. What would I leave in between? I'd certainly leave a couple of weeks after filler. Botox, a couple of days, it wouldn't make any difference whatsoever because it's working on the muscle freezing. So yeah, I'm not someone that would say I'll be worried to melt someone's fillers with radiofrequency. That's my opinion.
Great, thank you. And another nice question we've got over here is, what's the best treatment for a nice skin glow? I suppose, where would you start if someone just wants a bit of radiance?
A very, very small microneedling. So I would do lactic acid microneedling and an LED. It's a great little treatment that's very effective and particularly, quite quick as well. What else for a glow? Lactic and LED, great if someone didn't want to do the radiofrequency. And then the cryo ball. I use the cryo ball a lot for lactic brightening, cryo ball to sculpt, LED to brighten at the end.
Excellent, nice little combination. And one other question we have is, can you use microneedling and retinol on someone with clogged pores or papules?
Can you use microneedling and retinol?
Microneedling and retinol if somebody has clogged pores and papules.
Yes, you could use both of those. Yes. You wouldn't be microneedling over the pustules. Congestion, yes, because it would help to resurface, but I wouldn't go in over any active skin conditions, whether that be psoriasis or rosacea or acne. I wouldn't be going over anything that's active for sure, no.
Excellent, thank you. Another question about retinol is fine, fab. And the next question is just a bit more about the Venus concept machine you mentioned earlier. Lena has asked, do you use this to enhance the results of your facial services, or is it a laser? Sorry, I'm new to the equipment side. So if you could just maybe clarify about the machine.
Yeah, we use it. I mean, most clients of ours come for some kind of advanced, which is what we do in this middle part of the facial. And what I love about that is if someone needs laser, it's on there. If someone doesn't want to touch laser and just wants skin tightening, it's on there, your radiofrequency. If someone wants a whole skin rejuvenation, it's on the same platform, which is the fractional radiofrequency. And then it has the body tightening too. So we, as I said, we don't use that as much. We want to go for the legacy. But the other hand piece is the body radiofrequency, which is brilliant. We also has hair removal, which we're not really doing much of at the moment. But you have this platform that just has everything, which is a brilliant machine.
Excellent, yeah. There's a lot of multifunctional machines out there, like you say. It's so useful to invest in something that does more than one thing, I think.
Absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense. I've had a couple of questions about vitamin C again over on Facebook. Sam has asked, why does vitamin C cause congestion and how would it manifest? How would you recognise that was happening?
I guess, everyone's individual. If you're talking about you personally or if you're talking about your client, obviously if it's your client, you could see, I always have to use a mag lamp. I think it's important to get really kind of under that mag lamp and see what's going on. I just think you can see when it's congestion, and I always get people to take out, if they're using a certain vitamin C, I would get them to take that out, but I would also focus on the oil too. But it depends which vitamin C, but vitamin C, certain products can have this dark pigment to them, and I think that just kind of shows up in the skin. But yeah, it sounds like I'm against vitamin C, and I'm certainly not. I think it should be taken internally as much as it should be put on topically as well. Excellent,
thank you. Sorry, just another question pop up, so just trying to read it through. Okay, excellent. Someone has actually asked a bit earlier, what's the best lightening treatment? So I suppose we're talking pigmentation here. We've touched on pigmentation a bit, but the best lightening treatment, I suppose, overall for pigmentation.
It depends. I would maybe break it up a bit.
Ooh.
Some topicals.
Sorry, Teresa, I think we just lost you for a second then. The sound cut out a little bit for me, so I don't know, would you mind just repeating that?
Yeah, so I would use, it depending something between the lasers, topicals, but again, going back to the Cosmelan, it's a fantastic depigmentation treatment.
Excellent, thank you. We're kind of getting close to the end of time, but we've just got a couple more quick questions, if that's okay. Alicia has just asked, which LED system do you think is the most beneficial? So I suppose, yeah, which lights do you use, and which, I mean, you've mentioned various systems, but
yeah. So
yeah,
we're currently using the Saluma Pro, which I'm a really big fan of because it's very easy to use. It's flexible, so you can get very close to the skin, and it goes in my my carry-on suitcase if I'm going abroad or going back and forth to places. So yeah, Saluma Pro is my favourite.
fabulous. So we probably are coming close to the end of the time. So I just want to say thanks so much, Teresa. We've had so many questions. It's been fantastic to see, and I think people are really, loving to get a bit of an inside info and some really good skincare knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, thank you. It's been fantastic to have you, and really, really appreciate your time and all your expertise today. And thanks everyone for joining us. We have got more PB webinars coming up for the rest of the week. So if you've not registered, have a look over on professionalbeauty.co.uk/webinars. But in the meantime, thanks so much, Teresa Tarmey.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care, everyone.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
Bye.